The report card hit the kitchen table so hard the salt shaker tipped over. Nadia didn't move. She stood in the doorway with her backpack still on her shoulders and watched her mother stare at the paper. The silence lasted exactly 4 seconds. Nadia had learned to count them over the years because the silence was always worse than whatever came after it. 3 A's, her mother said, not with pride, with calculation. And 2 B pluses, Nadia added, which was a mistake. Her mother looked up. Your sister had straight A's every semester since the 6th grade. I know. So what does that tell you? Nadia said nothing. She had learned that, too, that some questions weren't questions. Her mother picked up the report card, looked at it once more, and set it back down with the careful deliberateness of someone deciding it wasn't worth touching again. Go do your homework, she said, and tell Serena dinner is in 20 minutes. She's been studying all afternoon. Nadia went upstairs. She passed Serena's room where the door was open just enough to see her sister at her desk, head bent over a textbook, a study playlist humming through her speakers. Serena didn't look up. She never needed to. The house arranged itself around her without her having to ask. Nadia went to her own room, dropped her backpack, and sat on the edge of her bed. She pressed both palms flat against her thighs, the way she always did when she needed something to push against. She was 16 years old, and she was already exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with school. Their mother, Vivian Otto, was not a cruel woman. That was what made it so hard to explain to people who hadn't lived inside it. She didn't scream, she didn't hit, she didn't call Nadia names or lock her out of the house. What she did was subtract, quietly, systematically, the way you might not notice a faucet dripping until one day you walk into the kitchen and the floor is wet. Serena was the drip that got all the water. Serena was 3 years older, beautiful in the specific way their mother understood beauty, academically brilliant in the specific way their mother understood achievement, and she moved through the world with the easy assurance of someone who had never once had to ask whether she was wanted. Nadia had been asking that question since she was 8 years old. That was the year their father left, not dramatically, not with a fight or a slammed door. He had simply been there one morning and gone the next, leaving behind a note on the counter that Nadia wasn't supposed to read, but did. It said only, I can't be what this family needs. I'm sorry. He had been sending child support reliably for 8 years since, which was the most reliable thing about him. After he left, something shifted in Vivian. She turned toward Serena the way a plant turns toward a window, completely, instinctively, without apparent awareness that something else in the room might also need light. Nadia spent 4 years trying to angle herself into that light. She joined the school choir because Vivian had once said offhandedly that she'd always wanted a daughter who could sing. She quit after 2 semesters when Vivian came to exactly 1 performance and spent the drive home talking about a recital Serena had coming up. She tried cooking because Vivian loved people who could cook and spent 3 Saturdays learning to make her mother's favorite soup from a YouTube tutorial. The first time she served it, Vivian tasted it, nodded, and said, "It's a little salty. Serena never oversalts." She stopped trying to cook. She stopped trying a lot of things. What she started doing instead was paying attention. She watched how the house worked. She watched how her mother moved through it, what made her warm, what made her cold, what she rewarded, and what she pretended not to see. She watched Serena navigate their mother like someone who had learned the current of a river by swimming it every day, never fighting, always flowing. And she realized at 15, with the quiet devastation of understanding you can't unfeel, that she was never going to be what her mother wanted. Not because she wasn't good enough, but because her mother had already filled the space where a second daughter could have stood with the shadow of the first one.
Nadia wasn't competing with Serena. She was competing with an idea of Serena, a perfected, airless version that lived entirely in their mother's head and that no actual human being, including Serena herself, could have matched. That realization broke something, but it also, slowly and then all at once, freed her. She started writing. Not for school, not for anyone. She started filling notebooks with the things she couldn't say out loud, the anger and the grief and the strange, complicated love she still felt for a mother who kept making her feel invisible. She wrote about her father and his note and the way she still sometimes checked her phone hoping for a message. She wrote about what she wanted, not what she was supposed to want, not the grades and the approval and the careful performance of being a daughter worth noticing, but the real things, what she wanted to do with her life, who she thought she actually was. Writing didn't solve anything, but it made her feel less like she was disappearing. Her English teacher, Mr. Asante, handed back an in-class essay in October of her junior year with a note clipped to it. She read the note twice and then looked up at him across the room. "Stay after class," the note said. "I want to talk to you about this." After the room emptied, she stood at the front holding the essay and the note while Mr. Asante leaned at his desk and looked at her with the direct, uncomplicated attention of someone who actually saw her. "How long have you been writing like this?" he asked. "I don't know, since I was 15, maybe?" "This piece," he tapped the essay, "this is not a junior year essay. This is college-level work. This is beyond college-level work in terms of emotional precision." He paused. "Have you thought about submitting to any publications? The regional youth writing competition?" Nadia opened her mouth. Then she closed it. "My mother thinks writing is a hobby. She wants me to study business or pre-med." "What do you want?" Nobody asked her that very often. The question landed somewhere unguarded, and she felt it in her chest. "I want to write," she said. "I've always wanted to write." "Then let me help you. There's a regional competition, essay and short fiction. The top prize comes with a scholarship and publication in a national anthology. I'd like to submit your work if you're willing." She looked at him. "You think I could win?" "I think you write like someone who has something real to say." He picked up the essay. "Not everyone does. Most people your age are writing at the surface. You're writing from somewhere underneath it." She submitted 3 pieces under her own name without telling her mother. For 6 weeks, she wrote and revised and submitted and said nothing. She ate dinner across from Serena and listened to her mother talk about Serena's pre-med applications and college visits and the internship she'd been offered in a hospital in the city. She nodded in the right places, cleared the table, did her own homework in her room, and felt for the first time in years like she had something that was entirely hers.
The email arrived on a Tuesday morning before school. She read it standing in the kitchen in her school uniform, spoon halfway to her mouth, cereal pulling soft in the bowl. Dear Nadia Ado, we are pleased to inform you that your submission, The Faucet, has been selected as the winner of the Regional Youth Writing Competition in the essay category. Your work will be published in the National Young Voices Anthology, and you have been awarded. She put the spoon down. She read it again. Then she sat very still for a moment and felt something moved through her chest that she didn't have a name for. Not happiness exactly, but something older and more structural, like a wall that had been leaning for years, finally finding its footing. She was going to tell her mother. She decided that immediately. Not because she needed her mother's approval anymore. She had spent the last year carefully dismantling that need, brick by brick, but because this was real and documented and undeniable, and if there was any part of her mother that was capable of seeing her, this would show it. She waited until dinner. Serena was home, which she hadn't planned for, but she decided it didn't matter. She helped serve the food, sat down, waited for her mother to settle, and then said, carefully and clearly, "I have some news." Her mother looked up. "I entered a national writing competition," Nadia said. "I won the essay category.
My work is going to be published in a national anthology, and I've been awarded a scholarship toward college." The table went quiet. Serena looked at her. Something moved across her sister's face, surprise first, then something that might have been respect, and then, quickly after that, something more guarded. Her mother set her fork down. "A writing competition," she said. "Yes." "When did you enter this?" "6 weeks ago." "Without telling me?" "Yes." Vivian looked at her for a long moment. "Why would you keep that from me?" "Because I needed to do it without knowing whether you approved first," Nadia said. "Because I needed to find out if I was actually good at this or if I just thought I was." "And the scholarship," her mother said. "How much?" Nadia told her. Vivian was quiet. Then she picked up her fork again. "It's a writing scholarship," she said. That's not the same as an academic scholarship. What are you going to study? You can't major in writing and expect to—" "Mom," Serena said. They both looked at her. Serena almost never interrupted. "She won," Serena said, simply and without drama. "A national competition. That's a real thing." Vivian looked at Serena, then back at Nadia, then at her plate. "I'm not saying it isn't real," she said, with the particular careful tone she used when she was revising in real time. "I'm saying that you need to think practically about your future. Writing is—" "Mom," Nadia's voice was steady. She surprised herself with how steady. "I'm not asking for your permission. I'm telling you what happened. That's all." Another silence, shorter this time. "Well," her mother said, "congratulations." She said it the way people say congratulations when they're not sure what they're congratulating, when the achievement is real but doesn't fit the shape they'd already decided things would take. She said it like a door closing politely. Nadia nodded. "Thank you." She finished her dinner. She cleared her plate. She went upstairs and sat at her desk and opened her notebook and wrote for 2 hours straight. Not about the competition, not about the dinner table, but about the specific, complicated feeling of being seen by the world before being seen by your mother, and what that cost and what it gave you. What she didn't expect was Serena. An hour after dinner, there was a knock on her door. Soft, 2 taps. Serena's knock had always been soft. She moved through the house like someone who had been taught not to take up too much space in rooms that were already full of herself. "Come in," Nadia said. Serena opened the door and stood in the frame. She was in her university sweatshirt, hair pulled back, and without the performance of being Serena that she wore at dinner tables and in public spaces, she looked younger, almost uncertain. "Can I sit?" she asked. Nadia gestured to the bed. Serena sat, crossed her arms loosely, and looked at the notebooks stacked on Nadia's desk. "How many of those are there?" she asked. 11, since I was 15. Serena nodded slowly. "I didn't know you wrote like that." "I know." "I didn't know," Serena said again, and the repetition made it clear she was saying something else under the words. An admission, maybe, or an apology, or just the simple acknowledgement of a blind spot she was only now seeing. "Does it bother you that I won something?" Nadia asked. "No," Serena said immediately. "Then, I don't think so. Then, I'm trying to be honest with you." "Be honest with me." Serena uncrossed her arms. "I grew up feeling like the only thing keeping Mom together was me being good at things. Like if I slipped, if my grades dropped, or I made a wrong decision, she would fall apart. I've been performing since I was 12, and I'm so tired of it, Nadia. I'm so tired." Nadia looked at her sister. She had spent so many years resenting the attention Serena got that she hadn't thought carefully enough about what that attention cost. "Do you actually want to be pre-med?" Nadia asked. Serena laughed. It was a short, hollow sound. "I want to be a journalist." Silence. "Are you serious?" Nadia said. I've wanted to be a journalist since I was 14. I've never told Mom. I've never told anyone." She looked at the floor. "I told myself I'd do pre-med, get the grades, make her happy, and then figure it out after. But I'm about to apply to medical school, and I don't want to go. I wake up every morning, and the thought of 4 more years of this makes me feel sick." "Serena," Nadia said. "I know." She pressed her hands together. "I know what you're going to say." "I was going to say you should tell her." Serena looked up. "She'll fall apart." "Maybe," Nadia said. "Or maybe she's sturdier than we think. We've both been protecting her from things she never asked us to protect her from." She paused. "I spent 4 years trying to be what she wanted, and then I stopped. I thought I was being selfish, but I was actually just becoming myself." She looked at her notebooks. "It's terrifying, but it's better than the alternative."
Serena was quiet for a long time. "I'm scared," she said finally. "I know." Nadia paused. "So was I. Every single day." Serena left around midnight, taking her sweatshirt and her secrets back down the hall. Nadia sat for a while in the quiet after she left, feeling the strangeness of the evening, the dinner, her mother's careful congratulations, and now this, a sister she had resented for 10 years, suddenly feeling more like an ally than an adversary. 2 people who had been shaped by the same pressure into different kinds of silence, and both of them, it turned out, exhausted by the shape. The anthology was published in January. Nadia held the physical copy for the first time in the school library, her essay printed on page 47 between a poem by a girl from Nairobi and a short story by a boy from Toronto. Her name at the top, her words on the page, real, documented, permanent in the way that printed things are permanent. Mr. Asante found her there. "How does it feel?" he asked. She thought about it honestly. "Like I existed somewhere I couldn't be edited." He smiled at that. "Hold on to that feeling. It's what writers chase for the rest of their lives." She brought the anthology home. Her mother was in the living room when she arrived, a cup of tea at her elbow, phone in hand, reading something that made her frown slightly. She looked up when Nadia came in. Nadia held out the book without saying anything. Vivian took it. She looked at the cover. She turned to the page Nadia had dog-eared. She read. Nadia stood across the room and watched her mother read her words for the first time, and something in her chest pulled tight and held. The essay was called The Faucet. It was about growing up in a house where love was rationed, about learning to need less because there was less to go around, about the specific ache of watching someone else receive what you needed and knowing that your need was not the problem, only its visibility was. It did not name Vivian, it did not name Serena, but it was unmistakable. When her mother finished reading, she set the anthology on her knee. She did not look up immediately. When she did, her face was doing something Nadia had very rarely seen it do. "This is about us," her mother said. "Yes." "About me?" "Yes." Vivian looked back down at the page. "You felt like the faucet was dripping away from you," she said quietly. "That's what I wrote, yes." "Did you mean it?" Nadia kept her voice even. "I always mean what I write." Her mother was quiet for so long that the refrigerator's hum became audible from the kitchen. Then she said, "I didn't know you felt this way." "Mom, I'm not—" Vivian stopped, pressed her lips together, started again. "I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I didn't know." "You didn't ask." The words landed and stayed there.
Vivian set the anthology on the coffee table between them. She folded her hands in her lap. She was 41 years old and had raised 2 daughters alone for 8 years, and right now she looked like none of those things and simply like a woman who had just been shown something she couldn't unsee.
"Your father leaving, It broke something in me that I thought Serena could fix. She was already so bright, so certain. She reminded me of myself at that age, before everything, and I leaned on that. I leaned on her too hard. She paused. I didn't see what I was doing to you. I know you didn't. That's not the same as it not happening. No, her mother said. It's not. Another long silence. I was wrong, Vivian said. The words came out with the difficulty of something that had never been said in that order before. I was wrong to make you feel like you had to compete for something that was yours by right. You are my daughter, not a stand-in for what I needed, not a consolation, my daughter. Nadia sat down. She hadn't realized she was still standing. I need you to say that more than once, she said quietly. I will. I know I will have to say it many times. I know sorry doesn't... She stopped again. Her voice was thickening, and she was clearly fighting it, which was itself unusual enough to make Nadia's throat tight. I know sorry doesn't rebuild what I took from you, but I am sorry. I have been wrong about the way I showed up for you, and I am sorry. Nadia looked at her mother's face. She had spent 10 years practicing not needing anything from that face, and now the thing she had practiced not needing was being offered, and she didn't know what to do with it. Her hands were trembling slightly in her lap. Okay, she said. Okay, her mother echoed. It doesn't fix it overnight. I know. We have to actually do the work, not just say the words and then go back to the same patterns. I know that too. Nadia nodded. Then, because she had been holding it for 6 weeks and she needed to say it while the opening was still there, she said, Serena doesn't want to be pre-med. Her mother's eyes went to her face. She wants to be a journalist, Nadia continued. She's wanted to be a journalist since she was 14, and she's been performing for you because she's terrified of disappointing you. She is exhausted, Mom. She has been exhausted for years. Vivian closed her eyes. She didn't tell me, she said. Because she was scared, the same way I was scared to write in front of you. She paused. You should talk to her. Vivian opened her eyes. She looked at the anthology still sitting on the table. Then she stood up, picked up her tea, and walked to the foot of the stairs. Serena, Vivian called up. A pause, then the sound of a door opening. Yeah? Can you come down? I'd like to talk to you.
Another pause. Footsteps. Serena appeared at the top of the stairs in her university sweatshirt, looking between her mother and Nadia with the careful, prepared expression of someone bracing for a verdict. Come sit down, their mother said, not commanding, just asking. Serena came downstairs. She sat on the other end of the couch from their mother. She looked at Nadia once, and Nadia gave a tiny nod, and something in Serena's shoulders dropped a fraction. Tell me, their mother said, what you actually want. Serena looked at her. Mom, Nadia told me about journalism. I want to hear it from you. Serena was quiet for a moment. Then she exhaled, the long, slow exhale of someone setting down something heavy they've carried a very long distance. I want to report, she said. I want to be in the field. I want to write about the things that are actually happening in the world. Politics, social issues, human stories. I've wanted that since I was 14 years old. She paused. I went pre-med because I thought it was what you needed me to be. I thought if I was what you needed, you'd be okay. After Dad left, you were so, she searched for the word, fragile. I didn't want to make it worse. Vivian listened without interrupting, which was itself something. I'm not fragile, she said when Serena finished. Serena blinked. I have been doing this alone for 8 years, Vivian said. I am many things, but I am not fragile.
and it is not your job to protect me from your own life." Her voice was firm, but not hard, the way a wall can be solid without being cold. "I failed you by letting you believe that it was. I failed you both."
The room held all three of them in it for a moment, the mother and the two daughters she had shaped with her love and her damage and her grief and her blindness, and the space between them that was beginning cautiously and painfully and for the first time in years to feel like something that could change. "Can I still get in somewhere?" Serena asked. "For journalism? I know it's late. Your grades are exceptional. Your writing," she looked at Nadia briefly, "clearly runs in the family. You will get in somewhere." She paused. "We will figure it out." Serena pressed her lips together. Her eyes were bright. "Okay," she said. Her voice was very small. "Okay," their mother said. That winter was the first winter in Nadia's memory that didn't feel like something to survive. It felt, tentatively and imperfectly, and with the particular fragility of things that are new, like something being built. Her mother started asking her questions, not performing interest, not going through the motions of conversation while really thinking about something else, actually asking, actually listening, actually sitting with the answers. She asked about writing, about what Nadia wanted to study, about the essay that had been published and what it had cost her to write honestly inside it. One evening in February, Vivian sat at the kitchen table while Nadia showed her the scholarship application she'd been working on for a creative writing program at a university 4 hours away. "It's far," her mother said, reading the brochure. "I know. Is that part of the point?" Nadia looked at her. "A little." "I understand that," Vivian said quietly. She didn't argue. She read the rest of the brochure and then set it on the table and said, "The application deadline is in 6 weeks. Do you want help?" "What kind of help?" "I'm an accountant, not an editor, but I can read things and tell you if they're unclear." A pause. "I'd like to read your work, if you want me to." "The real work, not the polished version?" "The real work." Nadia thought about it, about what it meant to let her mother read the notebooks, the 11 notebooks stacked on her desk that contained everything she'd been unable to say out loud for years. It meant exposure. It meant the possibility of being misunderstood all over again, or of her mother flinching from what she found there. But it also meant something else. It meant choosing to try, after everything. "Okay," she said. "But you have to read them the way you'd read something from a stranger, without defending yourself, just reading." "I'll try," her mother said. "That's all I'm asking." She handed her the top notebook, the oldest one, the one she'd started at 15, 3 months after she stopped trying to be Serena, 2 weeks after she started becoming herself. Her mother took it with both hands and held it like something that might be delicate. "Should I read it tonight?" she asked. "Whenever you're ready." Her mother nodded. She set the notebook on the table in front of her, put her reading glasses on, and opened it. Nadia went to her room. She sat at her desk. She opened a new page in her current notebook and wrote the date at the top. Then she wrote, "She's reading it. I don't know what happens next." She paused, then added, "But I think that's the point." 3 hours later, her mother knocked on her door. One knock, gentle. "Come in." Vivian opened the door. She still had the notebook in her hand. Her eyes were red, which Nadia noted without saying anything about. "Can I keep this? Overnight? I'm not finished." "Yes." "There are things in here." She stopped, started again. "There are things in here about when you were 11, 12, things I did or didn't do that I didn't know you remembered." Her voice was careful and strained. "I need you to know that I see them. I'm not going to pretend I didn't read them or act like they don't matter."
"I know they haven't," Nadia said. "I just need to know that you know." "I know," her mother replied. "I'm sorry." "Okay. I'll say it as many times as you need." Nadia looked at her mother standing in the doorway in her housecoat, holding 11 years of her daughter's interior life, and felt the complicated, insufficient, irreplaceable thing that was love under pressure. Not perfect love, not the love she'd needed when she was 11 and 12 and 15, but love that was trying now, late and imperfect and real. "Good night, Mom," she said. "Good night, Nadia," her mother replied. She started to pull the door closed, then stopped. "I'm proud of you," she said. "I should have said that a long time ago. I'm saying it now." The door closed. Nadia turned back to her desk, her notebook, her pen. She wrote for a long time that night, and what she wrote felt different from everything that had come before it. Not lighter, not easier, but cleaner, like a window that had been breathed on too many times finally getting wiped. She didn't stop being afraid. She didn't stop bracing for the old patterns, didn't stop noticing when her mother's attention drifted toward Serena and away from her, didn't stop having days when the slow-burned grief of an unleveled childhood rose up without warning and sat on her chest like something with weight. Healing didn't work the way it did in movies, with a single conversation erasing years of accumulation. It worked the way everything real worked, slowly, inconsistently, with setbacks, with the strange recurring discovery that you had to choose to keep going, even when it didn't feel like anything was changing. But things were changing. The scholarship letter arrived on a Thursday morning in April, and this time Nadia was sitting at the kitchen table with both her mother and her sister when she opened it. She read the first line, then she looked up. "I got in," she said. Her mother put her coffee down. Serena pressed both hands over her mouth. "Full program?" her mother asked. "Full program, partial scholarship." She looked at the letter again. "I'm going." Her mother stood up, walked around the table, and put her arms around Nadia from behind, the way she used to do when Nadia was very small and the world was simple and nothing had been sorted yet into golden and shadow. Nadia felt her mother's arms and sat very still in them for a moment, not performing ease, not pretending it was uncomplicated, just letting it be real. "I'm proud of you," her mother muttered into her hair. "I am so proud of you." Nadia closed her eyes. She felt the words land, different from January, different from the polite congratulations over a dinner plate. They landed in a different place now, somewhere that had been cleared, painfully and gradually, to receive them. "I know," she said, with a smile. Serena reached across the table and gripped her hand. She was crying openly in the way she sometimes did when she'd been holding something too long and the container finally gave out. "You were always going to get here," she said. "I want you to know that. Even when I was being—" She stopped. "When I was wrapped up in myself and Mom was—" Another stop. "You were always going to get here. You were always that good." "So were you," Nadia laughed. "We just had to get out of the way of ourselves." Serena laughed through her tears. "That's going to end up in a notebook." "It already has," Nadia said. Later that afternoon, Nadia went up to her room and stood at her desk and looked at the stack of notebooks, 11 of them, minus the one her mother had returned with careful hands and red eyes. 11 notebooks of becoming, of trying and stopping and starting again, of writing in the dark about things she couldn't say at dinner tables or in hallways or to a mother whose love was real but badly aimed for a long time. She thought about the girl who had started that first notebook at 15, 3 months after she stopped trying to be somebody else's idea of a daughter, and decided, quietly and without announcement, to find out what she was instead. She had not known then that anything would come of it. She had not been strategic about it. She had not been writing toward a scholarship or a competition or a national publication. She had just been trying to survive, to keep something of herself intact in a house that was oriented like a weather vane, always slightly away from her. And somehow, out of that survival, something had grown. She opened her current notebook. She wrote the date. Then she wrote, "I used to think becoming myself was something I was doing against her. It wasn't. It was something I was doing for me. The difference is everything. She paused. Then she wrote, I'm still her daughter. I'm also entirely my own. Both things are true. Both things are allowed. She put the pen down. She looked out the window at the April street, a kid on a bike, a dog, two neighbors talking over a fence, the ordinary, irreplaceable texture of a world that kept going. And she felt, not for the first time, but more solidly than before, like she had a place in it. Not a place assigned to her, not a place earned by being something she wasn't, a place she had built, word by word, notebook by notebook, one honest sentence at a time. She picked up the pen. She kept writing.
If this story reached you somewhere real, somewhere you've been before, or somewhere you recognize, even if you've never said it out loud, drop it in the comments. Tell us, were you the golden child, or were you the one left in the shadow? Did you fight for visibility, or did you find a different way through? We want to hear your story. If you're new here, subscribe. We tell stories about the things families don't say at dinner tables, about love that's real but imperfect, about identity earned under pressure, about becoming the person you needed before anyone gave you permission to. New story every week. And if this one sat with you, if it said something you've felt but never found words for, like the video. It costs you nothing and it means more than you think. We'll see you in the next one.